This old harbor goes to heaven, lightweight man, Lordy, lightweight man. Take his hammer, take to the fire, till I'm gone, Lordy, till I'm gone. If he asks you what got the matter, had too long, Lord, I had too long. I'm gonna roll on few days longer. I'm gonna roll on few days longer. I'm going home now.
All right, hello everybody. Uncle Tim here. We're at the Chillicothe Correctional Institute Cemetery. Beautiful downtown Chillicothe, or not downtown, beautiful Chillicothe. Very sad little spot in town, but hey, it looks like they just mowed the grass. This has been serving, it's been a part of the prison complex for quite a long time now. Not a whole lot to be known about this little cemetery here. It's readily available. So I guess what we'll mainly do is talk about the prison across the way there. I'll try to zoom in and get that water tower. That water tower is about as far as you made it away from the prison. But that would be the prisons themselves. I can get a better view of it over here. Doesn't look like it. But the water tower off in the distance there is where the Chillicothe Correctional Institute is at. You died there and left unclaimed. You ended up here. In 1917, the U.S. Army annexed this entire area of rural Chillicothe and created Camp Sherman to train soldiers for the meat grinder in Europe known as World War I. Over 40,000 brave young men passed through here on their way to hell in the trenches. This made Camp Sherman known as the Doughboy Factory of Ohio. And you would think that these older cross-looking things would be the older graves, but in reality, this one is 6622. So these wooden crosses are actually the newer of the graves. Got another one here, October of 22. 2020. And I'm purposely not mentioning names or doing anything about the people here, because a lot of them most likely are best forgotten by the masses. Maybe their families still around. But after the war, large cantonment at Chillicothe was decommissioned, with the land being divided up. Today, the area contains Unioto High School, the Hopewell Culture National Park, and a set of Native American earthworks, a sprawling Veterans Administration campus, and not one, but 2 prison complexes, among other businesses and homes. It's 2010 there. Got no idea the date on this one. Yeah, after the war, Camp Sherman got decommissioned, of course. With the land getting all divided up in between the buildings, a lot of the things I just mentioned. The Ross County Correctional Institute, built in 1987, is a maximum security prison with a capacity of about 2,000 inmates, and directly across the street from the Chillicothe Correctional Institute. That is the other prison that we were talking about. Now, this is a female name, 1950 to 2009. So I don't know, maybe they use this for some other purposes. Here we got one. Navy fella. I don't know if all of these are actually a part of the thing or not, but yeah, a large portion of the barracks area of Camp Sherman was dedicated to becoming a federal prison. The Federal Reformatory at Chillicothe, Ohio, was established in 1926. Reformatory is meant to separate younger prisoners from the older, more hardened inmates, and to educate them and teach them a trade in hopes that when they get out, they would not return. It was a noble idea, but sometimes it had some mixed results. Take, for example, Robert Glenn Johnson Jr. Jr. was a born moonshiner and a rising star in a new driving sport called NASCAR. In 1956, Jr. Johnson won his first professional race, and in 1956, he was arrested and convicted for having an operating still in North Carolina. He served 11 months at the reformatory. Upon his release, he said he was so mad that he went right back to it, only harder this time. He also went on to become a NASCAR legend. Then we got Charles Mills Maddox, also known as Charles Manson. 1952, Charlie, at the age of 18, made the Chillicothe Reformatory an early stop in his lifelong tour of the American prison system. Manson had been incarcerated at the Federal Reformatory at Petersburg, Virginia, where he committed 8 serious offenses, including 3 of a sexual nature, before being transferred to Chillicothe, where he served close to 2 years. During his time here, he was said to have been a model prisoner who raised his education level by a couple grades. In May of 1954, Charles was released for good behavior, and he was a reformed man. And we all know how that story ended up. Baker. So it looks like these stones here, the early 2000s, it's about the time that they stopped making the stones. It's mostly up front here, you just have a bunch of wooden crosses and no actual stone marker. And back here they get a little bit older. 1966, the government turned control over the federal reformatory at Chillicothe to the state, where the reformatory concept was dropped and it became a full-fledged prison. Today, the Chillicothe Correctional Institute is a medium security facility that has a capacity of almost 3,000 inmates. This includes Ohio's death row population, though executions take place at the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility in Lucasville, Ohio. In 1997. Yeah, we ended up little prison over there ended up having the death row put in so they could separate the inmates from other populations. Despite the fact that it's a medium security prison, that's where they keep the death row at. Then we have the case of a man called Donald Eugene Little. He's better known as country music star Johnny Paycheck. Johnny grew up in a town, or was born and raised in a town just a little bit west of here called Greenfield. He was coming home to visit his mother during a tour that he was doing. He got into an argument in a bar. He pulled out a gun and he shot the man in the head. As far as I could tell, the man didn't die. Johnny spent a bunch of years fighting the charges, but eventually, I believe it was in 1989, he got sentenced to 7 years in Chillicothe Correctional Institute. During his time here, his good friend Merle Haggard, another country music star, came through town, and they actually threw a concert at the prison itself for the prisoners. And Johnny Paycheck himself got to perform all of his hits. I'm the only hell mom ever raised. Take this job and shove it. I'm sure that was a good time at the prison that night. Eventually, he got pardoned by the governor and let go after almost 2 years, or I believe it was 11 months here he was pardoned and set free. So we're getting back to 84, 88. Another 88. Yeah, I don't think this is where you wanted your remains to end up. Here we got a 1975, 72. So these would have been, I'm guessing that these would have been original stones for the prison itself. The prison opened, it became Chillicothe Correctional Institute in 1966. These are going back to 70, 72, 70, 73. $75. All right, we're gonna pass that one for a minute. We'll come back to that particular stone. Died in 1929. So this one goes back to the reformatory days. And that might be the oldest one here. Oh, here's another one. 1929. 1931. 68, so yep, those 20 somethings were probably the oldest ones. Another 68, 69, 58, 51. So yeah, these to go back to the federal reformatory days. 1926, I believe, is when they opened up the federal reformatory. And this obviously got started a couple years later. 1930, 33. Really no rhyme or reason. It looks like they kind of plopped them wherever they plopped them from. 85. Now during its time at Camp Sherman in 1918, the Spanish flu pandemic was ravaging the world. And I guess that the military camp lost about 1,500 people. Now, I'm telling you that because we got a stone coming up here in a little bit that we're going to have to discuss, and that pandemic might have had something to do with it. Maybe. 1980. Winner 74. Yeah, you'd think that these would be the oldest or the newer stones, but or the older ones. They're kind of in the middle here. 82, 85, another 82. All right, so we got one stone left over here. It's somewhat of a mystery and baffling. But maybe you can help. Now, as I said, this whole area and through here was a part of the Camp Sherman military camp for World War I. After that, it became prison complex, school, other 2 prison complexes and earthworks, high schools, homes, businesses. This stone right here, unknown U.S., does not seem like it belongs here. Who was this guy? Was this stone moved from someplace else? Is this an original part of it? How do you have, we'll go back to being soldiers in 1918. Wouldn't you have to have a name, at least a number or something, if you were going to be in the Army? Same goes if you're going to be in a prison. Where did this stone come from? It just doesn't seem to make any sense. If anybody actually knows, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to find out the answer to that. If it's a soldier, he should be moved to a better place. Because this one, this area beside the freeway is not the nicest place of them all. Unknown U.S. Who was this guy? How did he end up here? On that note, if you have any questions, comments, or if I got it wrong, which is a good possibility that I got everything I just said wrong, let me know in the comments. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Well, at least somebody made him a nice gate.